WCLN 1170 Radio and Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on the air. I want to thank you for being with us today. As always, we come to you from Star Communications Channel 16, WCLN Radio simulcast each and every week at 2:30 on Tuesdays. The name of the show is We Should Know, and it encourages you to think about something educational or information that is either impacting your life or has impacted your life. We try to heighten awareness in certain areas on subjects that you need to know more about. Sometimes things are good things. Sometimes things are things that we hope didn't happen, but they happen. One of those things is today, and we're talking about domestic violence. We're talking with two people that know a lot about that in different areas. One of them is Robin Walston. Robin, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
The other is Wayne Dienhart. Sergeant Dienhart is with the Sampson County Sheriff's Department. And you've done a lot of work in that area, Wayne. I want to thank you for taking your time to come in today and talk to us as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Robin, I'll kind of give a quick introduction on you. You've got a Bachelor of Science degree in Healthcare Administration, a Master's also in Business. You've been in the world of healthcare. You have a story to tell that is unfortunately all too familiar to a lot of people. Wayne, you started with domestic violence in the law enforcement criminal justice community. Literally, I started looking at when you started with this in 2003. We're talking 2 decades here.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing because I mean, somebody my age, I look back 2003, I'm thinking, well, that's not that far. And I start adding the years. That's not something you sneeze at. So there's a lot of content you guys have got that I really want to get out to folks. But Robin, I want to start with you because you're one of those unique people that has an interesting background in healthcare, but at the same time, you walked a journey, again, that a lot of people have walked something similar, but you wanted to kind of share that. And I also want to mention before I turn it over to you for your comment, is that you're now a board member with UCare, and that organization's been in gear since 1995. The charge is being led and continues to be led by Pam Gonzalez, of which a lot of people know. And that organization has been, for many people, I would dare say, in my words, a life-saving port in a life that has appeared to be a storm for them that they couldn't get out of. Yes. So I'll open the door and just let you talk about your journey and how you ended up as a board member at UCare in Clinton, North Carolina.
Okay. I became a statistic of domestic violence my freshman and sophomore years of college. Back then, not going to tell you how many years ago that was, but the domestic violence laws were not what they were today. So the support was not there. And I unfortunately witnessed it from the law enforcement aspect to the healthcare aspect. But shortly after I was able to get out of my situation, I changed career paths and went into healthcare, greatly due to some of the stigma, I think, that I encountered the first time I had ever been in the emergency room ever. I went into healthcare and saw a lot of bias from healthcare workers, unfortunately. Not all, but some, enough that it had an impact. I called Pam during that time and asked her, what could we do to make services more available and to maybe possibly educate some of the healthcare workers about what we could do for the victims. I started volunteering then for UCare, and that was before we even had a shelter. The first couple of victims I picked up, we took to Harnett County. That was the only shelter in our area. And then dealt with UCare and the legal system here in Sampson County once the shelter was up and running. Even then, when the domestic violence laws changed, there were still some reluctance from other counties, not Sampson County, to provide us aid. There was a time when Pam called me after working a 16-hour shift, and I picked up a lady who also happened to be a nurse, and Pam thought that I could identify with her and help her. We went to court, the judge wrote the order, we drove to the other county, and the sheriff would not honor the order because it didn't say that that particular sheriff's department had to help us. We got in the car, we drove all the way back to Sampson County, got before the judge again so he could put the word in there. Spent all day long trying to get her some help. And like I said, there was a lot of reluctance to give us the help, even though the law had changed at that time. So I'm really grateful for the changes.
You talk about in your story also your experience that you had in which the response to your situation was they drove an individual, the person around, and then brought them back.
Yes.
That was kind of the norm during that period of time, was it not?
It was. I wasn't aware of it, but yes, I was packing my bags, planning on coming home to Mom and Daddy, mm-hmm. And little to my knowledge, they had brought him back. And I mean, that was before we had cell phones. So, I mean, I had no earthly idea until he came through my door to my apartment, literally flew through my living room. Mm-hmm. And I was brutally attacked that evening. When I came to in the emergency room, he was there beside me and basically told me what would happen if I told the truth. So, you know, I didn't have any help then. So,
do you see, when the folks you've talked to since that time and now in your journey, are there similarities in the way people are abused? Is each case totally different, or do you see some similar strains of violence and I'll use the word captivity involved in it?
Well, there's all different kinds of abuse. There's financial abuse. There is the physical and the violent aspect. There's emotional abuse, and I think 9 times out of 10 it's a combination of all three. I see it crossing social, economic boundaries. I mean, I don't think that you could group any victim in any particular type of status. I mean, male, female, sexual orientation, age. I mean, domestic violence crosses all boundaries.
When I look at somebody that has gone through what you've gone through, and you're sitting here today talking to ever how many thousand people in multiple mm-hmm. counties, what do you want them to know about their situation, if they may be in anything similar, or if they're not sure? What do you want them to know? What should they do? What did you learn during your journey?
Well, I think a lot of victims don't come forward because they're embarrassed or they're fearful. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. I think about 30% of all domestic violence cases don't get medical care or go unreported, and that's sad. And thinking about our numbers at UCare, we helped over 1,300 people last year. In 2017, it was over 1,200. That's a lot of people. So if you consider that 30% don't go reported, that should tell you a lot. But there is help out there, and people that can guide you through the process. And that's one of the things that I think that women fear, because starting all over again is really a scary thing. And walking out of a situation with nothing. And like I said, the financial abuse too mm-hmm. is a big part of it. But most women, or even men in that situation, we've had men in our shelter as well, are fearful of and embarrassed. And they're afraid to reach out. And fortunately, maybe haven't come across the right support. But I think it's a taboo subject. We don't speak about it a lot. And that's one thing that bothers me. I read an article a while back that said During 2001 and 2012, over 6,400 men or troops were killed in Afghanistan. But during that same amount of time, over 11,000, almost 12,000 women were murdered by a partner, either a current partner or an ex-partner. That's a really big number. I mean, it's almost double of our troops in Afghanistan, but it's still an issue that we're afraid to talk about, and that's what I would like to change.
Why do you think that piece of what you just said is true? Is that we're afraid to bring that up? We're afraid to mention it? Is it shame? Is it just simply embarrassment? Lack of understanding? What causes that to happen?
Culmination of all three. There's a lot of people don't realize that it may be a family member. It could be their next door neighbor, or a loved one or a close friend. Like I said, a lot of these instances don't go reported, so there's probably a group of people that don't think it applies to them. But I'd say probably like 1 in 4 women will experience some sort of intimate partner violence in their lifetime. Like I said, it just goes unreported a lot, either for fear or shame.
The process of having available, should I say, a available door that a person can open to go to a place like UCare, how important is that to somebody that's been through what you've been through?
I mean, it's an invaluable service that we have here in our community. All counties don't have the resources that we have. We have a website. If there are any victims out there that can go on our website and read what services, to kind of get the ball rolling to help them understand what we can provide for them. There's an escape button, so if someone comes in and you're afraid that your partner's going to see it, you click the escape and it goes straight to Google.
We're going to have to take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned, call a friend. We're talking about domestic violence.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. I want to thank you for being with us today. I also want to remind you can reach us at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. The show airs each and every Tuesday at 2:30. We try to bring you education information that will benefit you in some way in your life, your family, surroundings, and improve the way you live. Today we're talking about an unfortunate situation that often and continues to happen in our communities throughout the United States and literally throughout the world. According to statistics here from the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence, on an average 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million people. Sergeant Wayne Dienhart with the Sheriff's Department, you've been kind of involved in this, been involved in law enforcement and emergency service for a long time, but particularly focused on domestic violence since 2003. Around 2 decades. You've seen quite a bit.
Yes, sir.
In your journey, talk about the kinds of things that you've seen, and then I want you to, if you will, to kind of help us and help our listeners understand what they need to do if they decide to take that step. We've already established, Robin, that UCare is there, that you serve on their board, and Pam Gonzalez is the director there. That is available. They can literally walk up to the door, they can call, but the Sheriff's Department and law enforcement is a critical piece of this. Tell us what you've seen and how they engage that. How do they get involved in it?
How we get involved with that is, our victims will actually call 911, or actually somebody who's concerned about someone will actually call, and then we will go and investigate. And we offer to, we do offer, if they don't have a ride, we can take them to UCare, hospitals, wherever they need to go. We are basically there for our victims now. One thing that, she said a little while ago was when she went to other counties and they didn't want to honor the protection orders. Now the federal government's got a law that says that let's say Sampson County protection order is good in any county in this state, all states in this country, United States territories, and Indian reservations. So we enforce other counties, other states. They also enforce ours. So the issue that she had with the other victim will not happen now. But there's a lot out there that, you were speaking about children a little while ago, that they are still being, how can I really put this, being in the middle of the situations. And a lot of our victims, that's where we have a really tough time of getting them out of the violence, because they want to stay with their kids, and the abuser threatens, so if you leave me, I'm gonna take the kids from you. But we can take care of that problem. When we get there, they just need to call so we can get them out of that violence. Things have changed a whole lot since 1996.
Is it important for folks to understand from your perspective that they can feel safe if they call, that there is truly protection there? Robin, from listening to you during your journey, you obviously didn't feel like the protection was there, nor was it really, because the law was not in effect. But you're saying, look, we'll be there to look after you and protect you and make sure you are safe and secure?
We used to be in law enforcement, we can't guarantee anybody's safety 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if they call us, they're ready to leave. We're there with them, and if they're coming to a shelter in county, if it's another county, we'll call for another escort to get them to the safe location where they won't be by themselves. Which again, the most dangerous time for a victim is when they leave. And that's what we try to tell people. When you get ready to leave, feel free to call us, even if he's there or not, or she's there or not. Call us. We will be glad to go with you to make sure you get out of the house safe.
The new statutes that are in place now, I say new statutes since 1995 and forward, that really gives you a lot more weight to go in and not only be there, but to take action if you need to against somebody that's trying to assault or intimidate or continue to injure somebody.
That is correct, because with the new laws that took effect mainly in '96, whenever we got the meat of the laws, where we don't have to tell people, okay, ma'am, you need to go to the master's office, take out papers. If we have probable cause to arrest, we're going to arrest on the scene. And most agencies have gone to that policy, which is called a pro-arrest policy. And most agencies have gone to that to take, basically our victim, so we don't have to re-victimize her going to the master's office and all that, where we see the injuries, we got enough probable cause, we're going to make the arrest at that time.
And I think looking at this to the listeners, those folks out there that may be going through an issue now, the fact that if they call and you go there and you see that, and it's not just you, but any law enforcement officer that's called and they see reasonable suspicion or some injuries and they think this person has had some problems, they don't have to say, well, we got to go to the magistrate's office or you got to go here and fill out a paper. You can take immediate action at that time to secure that scene and remove that person from that violence.
That's correct. If we have probable cause to believe that a victim's been assaulted, yes, sir, we can arrest at that time without a warrant, because we have probable cause to believe that something. And
remove that person from that location.
Yes, sir.
And take them to jail for so many hours for whatever, while the person that is the survivor has time to relocate, do whatever he or she needs to do.
Right.
Robin, how does that make you feel, knowing what you've been through when it was not there? Is this a huge step forward in the whole world of domestic violence?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm eternally grateful for the services that we're able to provide.
Now, UCare and the organization itself works very closely with law enforcement and social services, correct?
That is correct.
How often do you see children involved directly in these situations?
Well, I told you earlier that we had over 1,300 victims in our shelter last year. Only 586 of those were adults. The rest were children, so over half.
So the children have to be dealt with and concerned about their safety, as well as a parent. And
Absolutely.
Wayne, one of the things that strikes me in your commentary is these are situations that often people, I'll use the words, go off the rails, when they literally get to the point that they are hurting or beating people. I mean, it's some of the research I looked at, the homicide rate is frightening in domestic violence situations.
And also for law enforcement officers as well.
Yeah.
Putting their lives at risk.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's one of the most dangerous calls that we have to go on, is a domestic violence, and a lot of officers are getting shot responding to the calls now.
How important is for the survivor, I guess you could say victim or survivor, I like the word survivor, when the survivor hears and to keep the survivor informed that there are alternate solutions. And one of the things that struck me in your commentary, Robin, is that this is a kind of a multi area thing. It's economically, it crosses all bounds, and social and ethnic, it crosses all bounds. It's not like just, you very impoverished people, but people from every kind of genre of life is being faced with this. And we were talking off air, Wayne, that it appears that this is not going away. I mean, it's not, something is happening, but we're not dealing with violence. Violence as a whole seems to be increasing. I don't have any statistics to cite on that, but particularly spousal violence. That's the kind of thing that should be troubling to us as a society.
That's true.
So where do we go? I mean, is there, other than what UCare is doing, other than what we're trying to do here to educate people, what's the kind of things that folks need to know more about? What is the kind of things that we want to message out to people that they can relay to somebody else? Where are the best conduits of information? Is it public schools? Is it through media? Is it through Facebook? Or all of the above? Or how do we get the message out?
If people hears like a domestic violence situation, a neighbor's house, whatever, they can feel free to call 911. Their information will be held confidential. Just get us out there. Let us investigate. Another thing too that they can do is, if they're afraid to leave, they're afraid to call law enforcement at the time, whenever he leaves, give us a call. Get out of the house. Come to the sheriff's office. Go to UCare. Go to the police department. Go somewhere like that, and then we can get involved, along with UCare can get involved, just to get them out of that situation. And then there's a whole lot more help out there than there used to be through UCare. And we get them there, and the help is there. I've probably taken hundreds to UCare to get them out of the situations over the past almost 20 years of doing domestic violence. In
your experience, Wayne, do you actually take those people and put them in your patrol car and deliver them to UCare? Do you escort them to UCare? How do you package and move that person to the UCare location?
If it's during my shift and somebody needs to come into UCare and they call UCare, they'll call me. I'll go out there because it's not safe at that time. Go out there with another deputy, most likely. Go out there. He's not there. I'll put them in my car and I will drive them to UCare. If they have a vehicle there they won't take with them, I will follow them to UCare. So it's just that simple. If I'm not working, somebody needs to leave, our patrol deputies in the county can go and escort to UCare, put them in the car, take them to the UCare, or follow them in their vehicle, make sure they arrive safe.
How much is drugs and alcohol involved in these situations?
A lot.
Over 50%?
I'll probably say a good 70-75% now.
And that not only increases the violent potential for you as an officer, but also increases the horrific kinds of things you see when you get there.
That is correct, yes.
We're going to take another break, and we're going to come back and try to get into the weeds a little bit and maybe walk people through this process, so if they're there, they can see where each one of those doors are, if that makes sense. So we'll be back in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about domestic violence today. We're talking with law enforcement. We're talking with people that's been through it, UCare, and we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned.
You come out to replace a bad sensor, and that adds a 5-year commitment to my contract, and you don't tell me? Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody trying to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know is on there. We're coming up on our third segment. We're talking about domestic violence today. We're talking about tragedies that is really infesting the nation. We see it globally. We see it in North Carolina. We see it in Sampson and surrounding counties. And most likely, you've probably seen it in your community. We're trying to zero in with some folks that's been there and have worked this for years. We're talking with Robin Walston. Robin, you've been through it. Wayne Dienhart, you've seen it for 10 years working specifically in this area. What I'm wondering if we could do, Robin, from your perspective, having gone through what you went through prior to a lot of the laws that's been established. Mm-hmm. Walk us through how you would deal with what you dealt with in today's world with the new laws, with the new regulations that are designed, Wayne, I think we would probably say, to be more helpful to the victim or to the survivor than ever before. What would you do today if you were in that environment? What would be that first step?
With a lot of victims, it's taken the courage to reach out. The internet is a wonderful resource, and like I said, we have a website and there's an escape button. So, because a lot of women are even fearful to look for information or see what resources are out there. But there's a wealth of information on the internet. UCare has a hotline. If you even think that you might possibly want more information, or there's people available on that hotline to look, to get support and find out what's available. That would be my first step, was calling somebody that I thought that could help. Calling somebody that wouldn't have any type of bias or, judge me in any way. And we have some really great people at UCare to answer those phone calls. And I think that's the big thing, because they may be too embarrassed to go to a family member or close friend, reaching out to see what's available. And then gaining the courage to take that first step. And I think that's where the hotline and the information comes in. It gives that person the courage to begin to make those first steps.
And part of it, in what listening to you, it sounds like there's a piece of that is not only the violent acts perpetrated against a person, but there's a piece that's the bondage piece, that not only do you feel victimized, but you feel disenfranchised, and you feel as though I don't know how to go through the door. Exactly. The door's closed. I don't know a person on the other side. Maybe they're not as fortunate as a lot of folks that they know people that's in law enforcement, or they know a person that can help them. They may have just moved in an area and they have no idea around them. What Wayne was saying, Wayne, and you kind of verified for me, this is now a national issue, and the rules now apply nationally. So if they're in Colorado, or they're in North Carolina or Connecticut or wherever, they have advantage to now a federal law that's in place. Is that what?
That's correct.
And so that changes for folks that may be mobile. Mm-hmm. Do you see in working with UCare, do you see some of this in human trafficking as well, that this bondage and brutality thing?
We have had a case or two of human trafficking. Unfortunately, it's becoming more prevalent. But yeah, that control over a victim, I guess, is more so than what you said, bondage. It would be control.
In relaying your story, and part of it I've read, and part of it you've talked about on this show, and it's like I told you, I wanted you to be comfortable in relaying your story. Some of that I heard in what you were saying, that at the period of time this happened to you, there seemed to be a lot of shaming going on, that people would tend to kind of want to shame you for even saying anything or coming up with something. Has that drastically changed?
Well, I think my biggest thing was the way I was treated in the emergency room. That got me, that caught me off guard. I said I had never been in the emergency room before then. That was my first experience. And then even as a health care worker, later on, the mindset that if women stayed in that type of situation, they deserved it. I heard that more than once from doctors, healthcare workers, nurses. So I guess to me, again, the awareness.
Kind of making it your fault in a sense, that if you're there, then it's your fault you got brutally assaulted. Right.
Yeah. And I think, and I got into more than one argument with healthcare workers about victims. I think the people that they don't expect, the people that are maybe of the higher income or economic status, are the ones more reluctant to leave because they feel like they have more to lose. You know, that status, you know, the car or their friends at the country club or whatever. Those are the victims, in my opinion, and what I've seen, are the ones that are more reluctant to report what they're going through.
And is that part of the idea of bondage as well? Because the person would say, well, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have a profession. I don't have a background. I don't have any financial resources. If I leave, there's nothing for me.
It takes an incredible amount of courage to walk away from your home, your belongings, and start all over with nothing, literally nothing.
So just imagine.
A lot of people are afraid to do that.
In trying to imagine that, the folks that are listening today that may be going through something, and they pick up the phone and they call UCare in Clinton, North Carolina, somebody will answer that phone that not only can relate, but that will be a guider and a counselor and somebody that can direct them through the process. It won't be somebody just trying to find out where they're at or trying to get them to do something. It will be a kind, caring, listening ear.
Exactly. Absolutely.
What is it about UCare that makes it unique from other places that you're aware of in the state? Or is the rules pretty much the same throughout the state for places that have open doors to allow people to come into safety and security?
I'm not that familiar with other shelters, other than the fact that, you know, I'd taken a few victims to other shelters, but I was really shocked at one point in time during one of the hurricanes, and I can't remember which one it was, that we were taking some victims from a neighboring shelter, that they had a time limit, and those ladies were being brought to our shelter because they could only stay in the shelter they were in for a very brief period of time. And I mean, it takes time to get all the protective orders and social services and funding to come in. Average stay at our shelter is about 4 weeks, but I'd say a lot of people it's a lot longer than that, because again, you're starting over completely. And I was a little shocked that some of the other shelters had those very strict timelines of the service that they could provide.
When we think about, again, that conversation a while ago about how we get this message out, is it important for churches and faith-based organizations to understand how to connect with UCare, how to connect with Sergeant Dienhart and others that are involved in this process? Is that a piece that should be looked at as part of the connectivity to the community?
I think we do have a lot of really great community partners as far as our churches already. I would say that's a component. But as far as being able to direct victims personally, maybe more so being educated on what signs to look for would maybe be a piece that we could possibly provide more awareness.
Well, when you guys get a call and you go to the door, are there specific things you look for that indicates that you're looking at a potential victim? Is there particular things that cause your attention? This person may be definitely telling us the truth here, or what?
Yes. Whenever we go into a residence, I mean, with just obvious things, holes in the walls, wedding portraits ripped up, just the house demolished from where the abuser was angry, or something like that. I've seen where he's gone out to the car and slashed tires before, so she couldn't leave.
Wow.
We try to look for anything that shows any type of altercation inside or outside the residence.
And is the way that law written, is that a must situation? Once you identify those things, must you act? It's not, if you decide to act, does the law put you in a situation that I've got to do something now? I see this, I recognize it, and so I got to take some action.
The only thing that North Carolina state law requires us to arrest on is a violation of a DVPO, a protection order. If we see a violation, we have to arrest. Now, going to a call whatever, it's departmental policies that basically tell us to, if you see probable cause, you will arrest.
Okay.
It's departmental policies that do that, not state law.
Right, okay.
And most of the agencies now has got what we call the pro-arrest policy, and that basically tells us that we see probable cause, we will arrest.
We're going to take another break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about a fundraiser, because all these organizations like UCare and others have to have money to operate. We're going to talk about a significant event you guys got coming up and how people can contribute and help with that. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're talking about domestic violence. We'll be back in a moment to continue the conversation. I'll also tell you about an event that's coming up that you can participate in and be a part of to help prevent this from happening.
To get the most out of your electronic devices, you need a strong internet connection and a protected home Wi-Fi network. You need high-speed internet from Star. Star has the fastest, most affordable high-speed internet service available for all your devices. We have no long-term contracts or high-pressure sales. Our service speaks for itself, and switching is hassle-free. We take care of everything with free installation from a local company. High-speed internet from Star. Internet at the speed of life.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. We Should Know's on there. Coming up on our last segment today, we're talking about domestic violence. We're talking with Robin Walston. Robin, thank you for being with us. We got a few more minutes to kind of cover some details on domestic violence and what's going on. And thank you for being a board member and supporting UCare and supporting Pam Gonzalez for all the things she's done all these years. Sergeant Dienhart, known you for a long time. And I want to thank you for not only being there for these people, but kind of being the rock that they can be assured ain't going to move. Once you get there, they're going to get some help, and everything's going to work out. We've covered a lot of stuff today, and I want to take as much time as I can to talk about an event that UCare's got coming up. But when you mentioned something on break a while ago that I thought was important, kind of walk us through that process. And there's not a monetary thing on this. So a person that is a victim, they can get a protection order and those kinds of things, and they don't have to hire a lawyer to do that. You can help them through that process. Just kind of give us an overview of what you've done in the past and how you've helped somebody go through that process.
What happens with that, JW? Again, it is free. It does not cost the victim any money whatsoever. The way we try to operate it is we send them to UCare and take them to UCare. They got some paperwork they have to fill out there. When they get through there, they actually go to the courthouse. They will actually see a judge to get what we call the temporary protection order, which is good up to 10 days. Then they'll have to go back to court within that 10 days, and we find the defendant, get him served, both of them be in court that same day, and then they'll come in and try to get the protection order for 1 year.
But you're right there with that victim to ensure their safety through that process in the courtroom and all that kind of thing. There's an officer there.
UCare's there if they feel that there's a danger where the defendant might be trying to find them, they call me.
Or intimidate them in some way.
I will be there with the victim.
Okay.
If not, our courthouse armed security deputies, sheriff's in there. They know who, basically when they see UCare come in, they know who they are, and they basically keep their guard up and be looking for any type of problem between the victim. And if somebody comes in and if he's just the abuser, you know, they will stop any type of abuse that could happen in the public or whatever like that. But they're protected in the courthouse. They're protected at UCare. And again, like I say, if they feel that it's a danger for them to leave from the UCare to go to court, they call me and I come and I escort the victim and UCare.
And UCare has court advocates as well to walk them through the process, to be there for support. They're not allowed to give them any advice, but they're there to walk them through the process and be there for them emotionally, and to help them know what the steps are.
You know, when I listen to you guys and with what research I've done, this is almost like a giant emotional bomb. It explodes in your house and everything is destroyed. And especially if children's involved in it. Right. All of these moving pieces is part of the shrapnel that's hitting the walls, and the people that's the victim is thrown around in different places, and here they are in this different environment with UCare. They're living in different quarters, and if there's children, it only exacerbates the whole dynamic, Wayne. I can't imagine when you go a situation you see the kids there. That's got to be horrific.
It's very heartbreaking.
I mean, as a father, that's got to drain heavily on your heart.
It does. There's been many nights I've gone home just to hug my two girls.
Robin, I can't say enough for the support that UCare needs, that impacts not only this community but counties around it. As you mentioned, you guys have been to different places. February 21st, just coming up here in a couple of weeks, you guys have got a fundraiser, and this is an annual fundraiser. In talking with Pam Gonzalez, the director, she indicated to me that she still runs on folks periodically. It goes, now what is that? And I'm thinking, I've known about UCare ever since way back even in the early 90s, you know, when they started opening the doors to start with, and the new location, all that kind of thing. Help us talk about that and that event. It's the 21st, 6 p.m. There's a lot of things going on. People can participate. They can come and be part of it. There's a reverse drawing. Tell us how they get involved in that, what they need to know about it.
It's our biggest fundraiser. It was started back in 2005 by Miss Brenda Warren, who did a lot to help open UCare stores and was a dedicated board member for many years. The reverse drawing was her baby. But it's a $5,000 reverse drawing. One ticket is $100, but that is dinner for two, and then one drawing. During the drawing, we have a silent auction. People can donate items for the silent auction. We're still looking for that. We're still looking for people to donate money towards the catering, anything that we can do to offset those costs, to be able to put more money in towards the victims that we have.
Now, the Beehive also has a kind of part of this process. Explain to us how that works. The
Beehive is integral part of UCare, because what I said a while ago about people being afraid to walk away without anything. Any item that is donated to the Beehive, and we have two locations, one in Clinton and one in Newton Grove, clothes, all of the proceeds go to UCare. And then also any household items or suits for interviews or whatever, the victims of the shelter have the first opportunity to go through those things if there's things that they need, if we're setting them up in an apartment. So we take furniture, household items, clothes, particularly clothing for the children, because like I said, we had 786, I think that's right, close to that. Over 700 children last year. So there's a lot of need there. And the reverse draw in Dienhart helps us to provide a lot of the services that we do that aren't covered by grants and those type things.
Have you got a goal this year of what you want to raise, or can you kind of tell us a little bit about how much you raised last year? Are you looking for 10,000, 15, 20,000?
I can't.
Not exactly on that.
Not right
as much as possible. As much as possible.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yes.
So when we look at that and we look at the amount of money it takes to operate the facility itself, just utilities alone is a lot of money. So it's either do it through fundraising and help out, because folks like Sergeant Dienhart, there's certain things he can't do with government funds, so he's got to have somewhere to seek assistance to help keep these people, safe and secure. And certainly, Sergeant, I don't think you want to put them in jail to try to keep them secure. No. That's not a good place. If there's children involved, you got social services engaged, so that's a whole nother dynamic. The event itself, though, you bring together not only your board members, which is yourself and others, some very distinguished folks on there that have committed their personal time to make sure this happens. Of the victims that we've talked about and of the number of phone calls we've talked about, all of those things come together to say this is a huge impact in the community, and this is the time you pay forward to try to help out.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if you had to look at things that somebody could do individually, whether you're a high school student, whether you're a grandfather or grandmother, simply picking the phone up and calling UCare and saying, I'm not going to be there, but I want to make a donation. What's that phone number?
For our
UCare, yeah.
I have the hotline number here, but 596-0931.
0931, 596-0931, and that's area code 910. Wayne, I'll ask you this question just for a quick thought and kind of reflect back on what we've talked about. What do you want folks to know about what to expect from you and folks that wear that badge when they walk up to the door? What should they expect if they call and say, I need some help, I don't know what to do, blah, 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 and you walk up to that door? Should they be prepared to have some kind of evidence, some kind of identification? What do you want them to show you when you get there?
Basically, just cooperate with us, open the door, and just let us start an investigation. We're not out there calling anybody any liars or anything like that. Our biggest thing is we just want the people to call us. Call us, get us involved. That's what we're asking people to do, is just give us a call.
And you've got a good track record from what I understand on response time. So if they call, they're not going to be waiting 2 or 3 days for somebody to come.
No.
There's somebody's going to be rolling in that direction as quickly, should I say, as possible, particularly given the violence of this situation.
That is correct. That's one of our priority calls is a domestic, especially on assault in progress. We're going to get there.
And with as many as you have going on, they might not see you, but they will see somebody with a similar uniform on, and at the point in time you engage in it, then this thing is moving forward most likely.
That is right.
I want to kind of take a few minutes or a few seconds rather to kind of, Robin, give you some closure here and kind of tell us what we may have missed.
Well, you were asking about what different people can do. Just think about, I said the 1,300 people that we had in the shelter. Think about how many resources it takes to feed that many people. I have a 13-year-old at home. I think sometimes he will eat me out of house and home. So imagine multiplying that. Yeah. That many. Paper products, toilet paper, paper towels, those type of items are extremely valuable over the course of a year.
So anything you can donate, financial resources is great. Call the number and show up the 21st and be part of the event. and enjoy. Thank both of you for being with us. Thank you for your service always, Wayne.
Thanks, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you again next week on We Should Know, each and every Tuesday at 2:30. And as always, as we close our show each and every week, we look at you and say, may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.